From dating to relationships, from sex to love, from Christianity to politics, from darkness to light, you have now entered into the real zone. Welcome to Conversations with Trent, where no topic of conversation is safe from discussion. Now, here he is, Mr. Epic himself, Trent Williams.
What's going on, beautiful people? Welcome to another primetime conversation. It's been a minute for Mark and I. I've been kind of busy with the workouts in the gym and this recovery. So been having not so much good times to get here and take care of this topic that people actually been planning to do, that is, for a number of weeks, maybe a month now. So the question is, why do we choose the wrong partners? It's a topic that Slash came up with. See what's on his mind with that. See what's his thoughts and whatnot. Why he came up with it. I've chosen wrong partners in my lifetime. I'm going to show you guys as well at this grown age. So appreciate you guys for always tuning in. As always, you can catch us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Taylor Kennedy TV, YouTube, all the stuff. All that good stuff. Subscribe. Available in 175 different countries or regions. TakeKen.com is the spot. So let's bring Slash in there. Let's see what he's talking about with this. One second. What's good? What it do? Your volume. Check your volume, brother. Let me push back his slides together with the mic. One sec. We'll jump to commercial real quick. Get back to you guys in a second.
Check out the creative work of the author Trent Williams of www.taylorkennedymedia.com. Chapter of the Delta gives us a peek at his life-changing events. And if that's not enough, Trent tells you more about his brothers and his life through memoirs in his book, The Four Horsemen. His blogs and daily stimulating quotes are published in his book, Life's Little Addiction. And when you have a need of some human coaching of life and relationships, take a look at Conversations with Trent, Volume 1 and 2, and Conversations with Trent, Limited Edition. You will find his works available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and all online book retailers.
Good stuff. Let's see if we got Slash back in it. What's good, brother? What's good? I think we are still having some technical difficulties, Slash. 1 second, folks. We'll be right back.
Somebody gon' get to tell them that I'm coming. And you can tell them that I'm coming. Tell them that I'm coming. Somebody tell the world that I'm coming. I'm trying to tell the world that I'm coming. Tell them that I'm coming. Somebody tell the world that I'm coming. Somebody tell the world that I'm coming.
God, don't give up on me yet. I know I'm not your best bet, but I'm trying. Don't give up on me yet. Ooh, I know I need to grow still, and I'm trying. Don't leave me here alone.
Welcome back to Conversations with Trent. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're online and want to be a part of tonight's topic, you can do that by dialing 347-324-5327. Press the number 1 to get into the queue so that your voice can be added to tonight's conversation. Now, let's get back to the show.
To live streaming. Let's get Slash back in here again, see if that microphone's in order. 1 sec. What up?
What up, man?
Solid. What's going on with you?
Oh, man.
You see how that's very professional, where no one panicked and hey, you know what I'm saying? Been doing this for over 20 years, so it's all good, all to the good. We've been dealing with microphones and all that stuff for about 40 years, right?
Definitely.
So, hey, it is what it is.
Longer than that, man.
Exactly. It is what it is, man. What's going on with you, brother?
Oh, I'm cool, man. Ready to do what it do, man. Trying to, get everything perfected today.
It's all good, all good. All to the good, man. So this topic, man, where did it come from? Why do we choose the wrong partners? That's a good question, man.
Combination of things, man. It's not one thing. I think it's something that more people need to look into and look at, and just kind of self discovery. As far as how things go and how things fall, and not trying to fit squares into circles.
Right. That's kind of hard, man, when you dealing with a bunch of subconsciously trauma. You know what I'm saying? Not conscious trauma. When you're dealing with trauma, man, when you're dealing with trauma, you don't know you have trauma.
Right. You mean,
know what I'm saying?
You mean like the ladies always shooting the arrows at you like that? Oh,
hey, you know what I'm talking about? So, I find that we get ourselves in trouble at this grown age when we do that, man. We unconsciously, we don't know the issues because we haven't addressed the issues.
Right.
And most of it, when I was doing some research on it, when you sent it over to me, I was like, I knew about it already, but I said, let me dig a little deeper and what have you. And I got to be honest, man. I mean, I unconsciously dealt with a whole bunch of situations by choosing the wrong partners.
Right. I mean, we all do, though. It's
exactly.
But see, the conversations, they always seem to try to come back home to you. As far as, like Malcolm X said, the chicken's coming home to roost. But
exactly.
the regular, the regular conversation, not the supersized conversation. See, this is more like a supersized conversation.
Exactly.
The conversations always come to you, and I look up, and I'm like, damn, what Trinity doing on the stand again?
They always trying to place me on the stand, man. Always,
right. It's not just you, and because you want that bare self hold, and it's just something that a lot of people you look at and you look into, and you look at a couple and you see them and you're like, man, they look like they're gonna be forever together.
Not always.
And
not always.
Next thing you know, 3, 4, 5, 7 years later, they gone. But then the relationship we look at as raggedy, and we like, man, that relationship lasted 50 years.
Exactly.
So you can't tell, and then at the same time, you have to kind of update your feelings and emotions and methods and how you move and how she moves or how he moves or how another she moves. So, you really have to have some adaptability to it.
Exactly. It's kind of hard though, man, when you don't you don't know what you're actually, why you're doing the things you do. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And most of us, we really don't, man. Got to be honest with you. Most of us don't. I didn't know why I did the things that I did until, I elevated and got better. You know what I'm saying? There are only reasons why we do the things that we do. So I jotted down some things here to go along with your topic here, man. The number one pointer that I pulled out was seeking something that's familiar. You know, we tend to do that when we're familiar with certain things. It could be a toxic trait in a person, and we not even know that we're attracted to a toxic person like that.
Right.
That's something that we're familiar with. That could have been.
Sometimes you don't know that they're toxic.
Exactly. Well, true. And then, hey, we see the red flags, man. Most of the time, we shoot the red flags down. Let's be honest about that, though.
Yeah, but like I said, not always. So it's the thing of some and many. Some is more of the whole. Many is more of the micro.
I get it. Okay. I get it. But I
Mhm.
truly believe, and you know, I'm just being honest about it. Like we see, like maybe the first, second time you don't see the red flag, but come on, man. If it's fluorescent, if that thing is blinking, you see it. You just don't want to see it. That's where deniability comes in. You know, you're denying it. You're not really seeing. You know what I'm saying? But what made you come up with this topic, man? Like, what was your thoughts on that? Why this one?
Just assessing life and what's going on around you. Not only like the road or path that you're on, but you see different things in nieces, nephews, cousins, co-workers, friends, and neighbors. Like I said, you can't call it, man. I've seen some so-called oil and waters that stayed together for 60, 70 years. And we saw those perfect couples that, wife graduated from college, the husband graduated with the master's, and they finally decided to get married. And that relationship lasts 18 months. Even when you have so-called all your ducks in a row.
Right.
So I'm not going to say it's a crapshoot, but you just don't know. And that's just from you seeing on the outside, Your neighbors right next to you or behind you or something, hey, they cutting their grass together and everything looks picture perfect and their relationship goes and Will and Jada, and next thing you know.
Yeah, what happens when those, as you say, those French doors will close? What happens then, man? What happens?
You got to keep the French doors closed, man. That's not for everybody, man.
Yeah.
Especially when other people aren't really going to keep it honest and true.
It's hard to do. It's hard to do in this climate, man. I don't know. Right. It's very hard to do in this climate. So
it's like being on a job. You're not supposed to talk about relationships and religion.
Exactly. But to be honest with you, most people run from those tough conversations.
Well, not really. They'll just put a bunch of fugazi type situations, and they'll use their friends' relationships and all that, but they won't really break theirs down because they don't want to get chipped away with that archaeologist handle. They don't want to be seen or perceived a certain way. But I'm saying, we've known each other so long, we don't even know to put a date on it. But it's the thing of, if we're gonna have a relationship or if we're gonna have a conversation, let's talk about it. Let's really, because then we're building, and we'll get something from building, because it'll be like, I was too close to the situation, and somebody else was outside the window or the plain glass windows that could see inside. And sometimes the different perspectives can come to, a little bit closer view of, oh man, I was too close to see it. Just like
you believe that? You believe that?
Just like, because dog, I remember when I came to your crib that day and you was cooking. You had the wine chilled and all this and all that. You had
what was this? I was still married.
You still married. You had the new home out there a little bit past me.
Okay.
And I came through. Everything looked picture perfect. I'm like, man. I'm like, dude. All right, you got it. You got one. You got it. Everything looked, everything was in its place, man. It wasn't a hair out of place.
Well, yeah. The hair didn't go out of place until I moved to Michigan.
I think it was them blinds, man. It had to be the blinds. It had to be the blinds, man.
It
But
had to be,
see,
man. It had to
I
be.
can relate to that because when I was married, I get, you get this thing of, and I kept hearing this term. Yeah, it was on sale.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, sale. I'm like, everything in the store is on sale.
Right.
You got to break this sale down to, because you remember when Walmart used to have the price busters or something. Said what it was
Mm-hmm.
$79.99. Now today
Uh-huh.
it's $69.99. But then if you know that everything goes up as far as what they paid for about 300%, it's
Yep.
never a sale.
Never at all.
Yeah.
But
So
and honestly, as men, man, like like with that situation with me, when you talk about those blinds, I created that monster. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? It
yeah.
didn't take me. It took me 8, 9 years to take responsibility for that because
hmm
I created that. You know what I'm saying?
You was
So
too close. Look, your vision, your peripheral, is hard to see long a mile down the road
yeah,
when you're right here with someone.
yeah.
You,
But
you're
here's the
not
thing for
focusing.
me.
You get that tunnel vision.
I saw it, but I'm a fixer, so I'm like, you know what? I can fix that.
Right.
We could work through this. I could fix that. But I never addressed it. It was always, yes, go ahead, let's do it.
But see, I
Trying to
know what
please and appease her.
I know where that comes from. That comes from mom.
Yep,
So you pick up both the DNA from mom and pops, and
exactly.
you try to put the same batch in your gumbo. And I get that, but then, like I said, men don't. We don't quit, man. We surrender, and
That's true.
surrender is a military tactic.
That is so true. That's so true, man. A lot of people, I'm more than sure, women will take offense to that, but that is true.
Yeah. But
That's true.
if you break it down, like I said, surrendering is a military strategy.
Yeah.
If I have 30 people and we're in the military and we're on, trying to take over somebody's world and trying to spread democracy, but I
Uh,
got 30 people left and we're surrounded by 300 people, why should I
mhm.
get those 30 people killed and we're outnumbered? You
Exactly.
have to wave the white flag. That's
I
not
get.
just for you, it's for the situation, it's for the kids, it's for peace, it's
Uh,
for the whole deal.
I give an example, right, of surrendering.
hmm
I was having a conversation with a good friend of mine,
Okay.
maybe a couple of weeks ago, and he and his girl split up
hmm
for a minute. They're still together, but they split for a
They
minute.
took a break.
He didn't call it break. He didn't call it a break,
I bet that she
but
called it a break. What he called it?
he initiated it. He left.
Oh,
He left.
took a time. He took time out.
There you go.
Oh my
So we
goodness.
were talking and whatnot, and they've been going back and forth with their situation for a number of years. And
Okay.
at a certain point in their life, in their relationship, she hung in there with him. So he felt
hmm
obligated, right?
Right.
So he
Right.
kept
Right.
talking, he talking. He's like,
hmm
man, she really, she was there for me, blah, 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 all this stuff.
hmm
But she had some toxic traits, right?
Right.
He overlooked that because she was there for him. So
Right.
he said something that, and I stopped him mid sentence when he said it. I knew where he was going with it. He's like,
hmm
I'm trying to get myself together emotionally and straight and whatnot. And, I'm trying to do some things and I want to, get her there. I was like, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. You can't do that for her. You cannot do that for her. If she don't want to travel that road of elevation that you're on,
hmm
you got to lock in and say, hey, listen, hey, maybe we could revisit this another time. But you can't do that for her. You can't, you know what I'm saying? You
hmm
you could wash that mud off of her. You could even put her clothes on. You know what I'm saying? But she's responsible for buttoning it up.
So is this a relationship or is this a marriage?
Nah, that's a relationship.
No, I'm just saying, as far as the couple you're talking about.
It's a relationship. It's a relationship.
Yeah, that's different because I would have to at least give a opportunities to kind of see because sounds like he was crossing the finish line in this particular junction.
But The thing about it is he know the road and the path to elevate, right?
Right.
But he was saying that he wanted to get her there. And you know
Right.
what I'm saying? But I said, wait a minute, man, you gotta make sure you're good first before you can't want it for her.
Right.
If you're constantly struggling with that, you can't want that for her. She gotta want it for herself.
So you mean like Kobe and his teammates that didn't want to work out?
There
that
you
didn't
go.
want to practice? Yeah,
There
I
you
mean,
go.
in a
There you
marriage,
go.
I would have to disagree because you have to find common ground in a marriage. But in a relationship, when you start seeing these signs,
So you're telling me, so you're telling me that even in a marriage,
I don't know the situation though.
No, listen, no, I'm giving you the scenario, not
Okay.
talking about that situation now. So in a marriage,
Mm-hmm.
if the man or the woman is on a totally different path,
Mm-hmm.
totally different path. So am I supposed to force you into that lane?
No, it's not about forcing. But the thing is, when you sign that contract to be with the two small businesses that join into a medium-sized business, that's something more of a long haul, a long run.
I get that, man. But if that relationship has been in play for 16, 17 years, damn, how long is it going to take?
It's a hard call, and that's why I'm not, that's why I'm not doing that particular dance right now.
You see what I'm saying? So, and when you said surrender, that stuck
Mm-hmm.
out to me, and I was like, wow, he was surrendering for a minute.
Yeah, but see,
He was
that's a
surrendering for a
relationship.
minute.
That's that. Well, not really that he's surrendering. He's in timeout, so he's trying to, evaluate.
No, just by him even saying that,
Mm-hmm.
what he was going to do to get her on this path,
Mm-hmm.
she got to want that for herself. He was surrendering for a minute.
I
Like, man,
get that.
you can't stop what you're doing to. Well, let me get you over in this lane. Come on, man. I mean, it may sound selfish what I'm saying, but that's reality.
But see,
I can't make you
already,
do what you don't want to do, Mark.
right? But see, you already on the island. He's trying to get to a particular
I
island,
get it.
and you have to make sure everybody in your boat is rowing in the same direction.
I get it.
I mean,
I get it. I'm at the stage in my life, man, to where I just don't have that type of time. I don't have that kind of time, especially dying twice. I have no time for that bullshit. I have no time to be waiting and until she get her mind right. Now we're not doing all that.
Your camera kind of buffers itself and then comes back. It's done that a number of times. Yeah, they're like, you'll be talking, audio's still running, and then it'll kind of buffer real quick and you'll come right back.
Gotcha.
Which is kind of weird.
Yeah, I've been having problems with the studio, man. I'm having big problems here.
But
I gotta take some time to do some maintenance. Go ahead.
But see, that's the time you're on, so to speak. Some people, it's the thing of this also, which I'm hearing a lot, but I'm not hearing from a certain species that a woman is supposed to love a man harder or stronger in a relationship than the opposite. I've been hearing that a lot from the OGs and whatnot, man, that it's never a 50-50 thing off top. It's supposed to be 100-100. But what I've been hearing is a woman's love, or she's supposed to love you a little bit more than the man. Now, what would you say to something like that?
That she's supposed to love me more?
Yeah.
I call bullshit. I call bullshit because that sounds like an imbalanced love to me.
But see, the thing is, just like love is not, Teddy Pendergrass said, it's not 70-30, it's not 60-40, talking about a 50-50 love. But in reality, that's 100-100. But there's going to be certain times, as far as, I just want you to think back. the things that such and such would do, and how they would they say how they would hit for you or whatever. It was it stronger in the ones that were more positive, or was it you trying to pick up that particular slack or whatever?
You talking about a relationship, my past relationships?
Yeah, I'm just saying, when you think back, was it stronger for her or stronger for you, and based upon that particular strength, was it
Honestly,
positive or negative? Because
honestly,
I don't want to call it. Now I could call it, but I don't want to spoil it.
you talking about that situation?
No, not even that. I'm just saying, just me really thinking back and looking at certain things, and evaluating and
Uh-huh.
seeing how things go. I don't care if it's 5%. That's still more.
I get that, man. But wouldn't you say that that's an unbalanced love if she's loved me more than I'm loving her?
No.
I give you an example. I give you an
Okay,
example.
come on.
I was 19, 20 years old, something like that, when I met Deidre, right?
Okay,
I had no intentions on marrying that woman. I had no intentions on being with the woman. It was nice. She was very nice.
right.
Um, we vibed. It was a great vibe, all that stuff. She became my wife. That was my first wife. And I had no business marrying her.
Mm-hmm.
I married her on the strength of my dad telling me, hey, she's pregnant now, which you got to do the right thing, boy. You got to marry that girl.
Mm-hmm.
I tell you something so funny. I married her the next week. I think the following week is on the weekend. The wedding was on the weekend, a nice wedding, all this other stuff. I was on a plane to Los Angeles
Mm-hmm.
the next week.
Next week.
Get to Los Angeles, Dave and Mona was like, you just got married. What are you doing here?
Mm-hmm.
Say, hey, man, gotta go get what I gotta get.
Right.
But I said that to say I knew she loved me more than I loved her. And I still went ahead and chose her. Because
Okay.
of pressure from my father. And
Mm-hmm.
that's one of the things I jotted down in my notes here. Pressure,
Okay.
societal
Okay.
pressure, man. Societal pressure. What is it going to look like if I bring my child into the world unwedded?
Mm-hmm.
I was freaking out. My father sat me down and had this conversation with me.
Okay.
I'm like, shit, I don't want to disappoint him, and I want to make him proud, and things are going well in my career. Everything's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But I did it because that's what he asked me to do.
Right.
I never spoke with anyone else. I write about it in the books.
Yeah, because I've never heard this.
Yeah.
Um,
I
I
wrote about it in the book, in the Four Horsemen book I did. But
but,
I that was pressure, man. That was pressure from my father,
mm-hmm.
societal pressure and all that stuff. You got to do the right thing. And Dave, my mentor, and Mona, his wife, you got to do the right thing, Trent. You got to. And honestly, that wasn't the right thing to do. The most beautiful thing came out of that marriage and that
Mm-hmm.
relationship was Taylor.
Right.
And I wasn't honest with myself. I wasn't being honest with myself with that. I gave into the pressure. I gave into societal pressure and all the above.
So
And
beyond
that wasn't
societal,
cool at all.
that was family, and that was coming from Big Will. So you thought
It was,
it
yeah,
was
it
his
was coming.
goal. You know what I'm
And
saying?
I was getting it from both ends. I was getting it from my dad. I was getting it from Dave. I was getting it from my manager, Mona. I was getting it from everybody. I had to marry this girl. At least that's what I felt.
Mm-hmm. But
It was a lot of pressure.
that's what you felt. But did
Uh,
you feel it in your heart of hearts?
nah, I shouldn't have married. Nah, I shouldn't
I
have.
see that. That's what I'm saying. But that's not a relationship I'm talking about. I'm talking about regular smegular relationships of the past that you can quickly think back to and say, I knew such and such liked or loved me more than I
Yeah, she
did
did.
her.
I was giving an example. She did. I
Okay,
knew she
so
wholeheartedly loved me.
so in this particular so-called society, when men buy flowers and candies and dates and dinners and all this, we're never 50-50 on that, right?
Right.
So in a relationship, if your wife loves a little stronger, harder, that's not necessarily a bad thing, so to speak. Like I said, it could be 5 to 7%. Why
But
would that
still,
be?
but still, you wouldn't you agree that that's an imbalanced love slash? Come on, man. Wouldn't you agree that
Nah.
that's an imbalanced
Mm,
love? At some point, if I'm giving her 75% of love and I'm only getting 30 from her, or
mhm,
whatever it is, 80, whatever, and she's not reciprocating, I'm not
mhm.
reciprocating, vice versa. I'm not giving it back. I'm not
Right.
giving. That's an imbalance, man. That's an imbalanced love, and at some point, someone's gonna be taken for granted.
Okay. But
That
have
love
you
is gonna be taken for granted.
but have you rocked with that before?
I've done it a ton of times. Matter of fact, to be honest with you, the majority of my relationships, they've loved me more than I love them, except that one, the
Hmm.
house that you talked about, come to that house, that
Hmm.
one, and that was my karma, man.
So
And I
that was the second though. That was the
That was the
second marriage,
second.
right?
That was the second.
Okay. So
But
do you
but
think you were trying to make up for the first one with the second?
yeah, I was actually I was, and to be honest with you, man, you know, I write about that as well. That was my karma. You know what I'm saying? That was my karma. My karma came with a pretty smile, pretty face, and a round ass, and I couldn't get enough of it. And I knew it was my karma.
I'm just saying, not saying that you're not being 100, at
Go
this
ahead.
particular point, but your Superman cape flies a little. It in the wind. It flies a little better when you know that woman loves long, and strong, and hard.
The right man. I mean, at that time when Deidre was doing that for me, I couldn't see it because I had the sunlight of Los Angeles in the sunset. It was blinding me. I couldn't see that.
Sure, that wasn't that small.
And it's so funny that we're having this discussion here tonight. Taylor turned 31, right?
Man,
And
come on.
yeah, she turned 31, man. A
Wait a minute,
couple of
is that the
days ago.
picture? Is that the picture I saw? She was in a dress, I believe.
Yeah, that's her. Yeah, Taylor
Okay.
turned. Yeah, she turned 31, and I got to thinking, and I was thinking about the relationship with her
Hmm.
mother, right? And a quote came from that. I'm going to read the quote for those guys here right now. I haven't even published it yet, but
Okay.
that quote came to me after I bumped into her social media because we're not friends or anything on social sites or anything like that.
Okay.
And me personally, I truly believe that she still holds some type of, you know, resentment toward me for the things that I didn't do in that relationship.
Hmm.
And it is warranted. You know what I'm saying? It's
Hmm.
She got me to the right. You know what I'm saying? So I got to
Right.
thinking, right? So I was like, damn, thinking of all those past times she begged me not to leave and don't go to LA. Well, I'm coming out to visit you and all this stuff, man. All of that stuff came back to me, right? So the
Hmm.
quote, let me get the quote here. And it reads, 1 second. The quote reads, I recently stumbled upon my ex-wife's social media page, and it helped me understand my father's words of my father's words of wisdom from years ago.
Hmm.
So I said that to say the times that he was telling me, go right, don't go left, man, don't go left, son, don't go left.
Hmm.
I still went left,
Right.
but looking over her page, I was like, wow, I really screwed that up. But I was young. I was definitely young.
Not the cliche. I was young.
I was definitely young, man. I was kind of young. I was young. I was definitely young.
It's not it's not a young thing. It's just that wasn't in your spirit at that particular time.
It wasn't. I mean, I was wild. Though. I was definitely wild.
So I'm not gonna let you I'm not gonna let you steal to second base using that. Oh, look, I'm young. Let me steal this base. Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
not that. But like I said, that still put the extra win in your cell, knowing
True.
that,
True that.
and that's what I'm saying. Because in relationships, it's not always going to be a balance. Somebody's going
Right.
to be pulling, tugging,
I get it.
loving harder, longing to be this, that, the third as far
But
as
I'm still
relationship.
standing. I'm still standing 10 toes down on that's an imbalanced love. That was an imbalanced love. Would you say it wasn't?
It was a it was an imbalanced love because you wasn't making deposits into it.
There you go.
She had already put up her 100%. She puts her cards, what they say, puts her chips to the middle of the table.
Yeah. I took mine off the table. I was like, nah, I'm not betting on that.
Well,
Even though
like
I
you made that
married her.
call. Mm-hmm.
Even though I married her, I was like, nah, I'm not betting on that. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Right.
So I get it. Hey, let's take a moment for a little infomercial here, a little nod, wink, wink. Ladies and gentlemen, you're viewing and you're listening to Conversation in Prime Time. Mark and I created a space here, a safe space for men where we can actually talk candid, talk honest. And I said that to say the reason why I'm saying that and letting you guys know you're not on a conversation with Trent and Friends. This is Conversation in Prime Time. We're slashing now. We created this space for men where we could actually talk, vulnerable, be very vulnerable and open and honest. If you guys notice, he checked me and it wasn't an argument. He's like, nah, I'm not gonna let you hold that back. But we got to hold one another accountable for our actions and for our words. So conversation in prime time. Conversation in prime time. We're slashing that. Good stuff, man. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, I remember probably we were just leaving like festival studios around this time. And finishing up some different things. I know I was even working with Sporty T around that time.
Yeah.
Because I believe that's when they had moved the studio from the house
To
to
Kennedy.
closer to rallies.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I just think it's something about relationships, man. A woman is going that loving longer and stronger thing. That's just something because they're so nurturing.
That's in that's in the nature, man. And I
They're
gotta
gonna
tell
give
you,
you
man,
100 plus.
honestly though, man, to be honest with you, and this is where the trauma comes in there, right? The big world trauma, and I'll break that down for him in a minute. This is where the trauma is. Like, I didn't experience that true love from a female as far as in relationships. I've always
Mm-hmm.
got the love from my mother. But
Right.
as far as relationships, right?
Mm-hmm.
Until I became paralyzed and partially blind. That woman showed me a different type of love that I'll never forget. I never experienced that before with the woman that I was romantically involved with. The type of love that Javon showed me was unparalleled.
I get
Unparalleled.
that, and it was unbalanced, right?
At that point, I couldn't pour anything to her because I was paralyzed.
Right.
I
But
couldn't pour into her. But
she also didn't have to push those chips to the middle of the table either.
explain. You kind of lost me on that. You lost me there. Explain.
I didn't lose you. The thing is, like I said, you have these relationships, man. Something happens to in a relationship, such as us loses job, loses car,
Right.
uh, accident or something, and you
Mm-hmm.
got people that's really signing off,
That's true.
checking
That's
out.
true. That's
So
true.
if she was already at 100, she didn't have to push more chips to the middle of that table.
Gotcha. I get your point. Well, actually, she put up 1,000. So, in that situation, as
Right.
you know, that was a tough situation, man.
But as a
She put.
man, you have to also figure this part in also. There's some, I'm doing this for the greater good, for it to be greater later. Also, in a
Right.
lot of relationships and situations.
True that.
So you saw this woman's social media page, huh?
I did, man. I did. I went to looking through. I was like, well, okay. And you know what really got me? She had a post up there. She has 30 years of nursing. You know, now she's an administrator at a hospital. But 30. She had third marking 31 years, 30 years of nursing in the medical field. And I remember when she started school. You know what I'm saying? So it kind of took me back down memory lane. I was like, wow, okay, that's good, though. I mean, it was good to see a progression and whatnot and all that stuff. So real good. It got me to thinking. I got to be transparent with it. I thought about it. I was like, damn, I really. Yeah, I dropped that ball.
Many say, she said, just a photograph kind of make me laugh.
Exactly. So we talk about trauma. Let's get to the trauma and why we choose the wrong partners, right? And I'll line this up for you guys so you could actually understand what I'm saying. Like for me, I had childhood trauma with my dad. You know what I'm saying? It's all documented in the Four Horsemen book and whatnot, all that stuff. My father, I despised him and loved him at the same time. I loved how charismatic he was. I love how responsible he was, and just how, he was very responsible. We had 4 boys, very responsible, taking care of the house, everything. Everything was fine with us, but he just loved women. And for me, as being the youngest of 4 boys, I gravitated to that side of that. I gravitated to that toxic. Like I loved his charisma. I loved how charismatic he was. I loved the way women just was drawn to him. They were like, he was like a magnet.
Man's man of that day.
Exactly. So that's the part of the toxic I took to. You know what I'm saying? The responsibility and all that other stuff. Yeah, that was cool. But I drew more to the charismatic ways and the get around ways.
But in that particular day also, that wasn't toxic. That was a man being a man.
That was a man being a man. Exactly. Well, I didn't know that as a child. I didn't know that. So
but many women kind of shoot that off as, girl, that's just a man being a man.
Right. So what a trauma came in at was I started to despise the man that I looked up to. You say to yourself, wow, Trey, that's kind of crazy. Now you could love him and despise him at the same time. Because that was me. That I loved him, loved the ground he walked on. But I despised him, and I despised him from the act of cheating on my mother.
Yeah, so yin and the yang.
Exactly. So I took issue with that. The funny thing about that, I resolved that issue with him 8 days before he passed away.
Right. Because
we had issue on top of issue with that.
Right. Because forgiveness is not for them. It's
for me. Exactly.
Right. And you have to be wise enough to know that.
Exactly. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's what we talk about when we talk about trauma issues, from your childhood and whatnot. And unconsciously, I was doing that throughout my years, throughout my late teens, early, 20s, and into my 30s. Like I didn't get until 35 until that pain came from my second wife. Pain make you look at things a totally different way, man. Totally different perspective.
Look, pain or karma, right?
There you go. Exactly. So I didn't start, using that inward mirror until that time. I was over 35 at that point. You know what I'm saying? Right. And it takes a while for you to get out of your own way when you're unconsciously dealing with trauma that you don't know that you ever had. The trauma was always there. It just didn't tap in until I got burnt again. Like, wow, wait a minute.
But see,
that's a different type of pain right there. So where's that pain coming from? So when I started doing the therapy, going to therapy with Dr. Stan, he started pulling that stuff out of me. But I was unconsciously walking blindly in trauma and just bleeding on a whole bunch of women.
So your therapist, Dr. Stan, white guy, black guy?
Black, he's a brother. Everything black for me, so no.
Oh, man. Did you see that post that I posted in the room? It was a minute ago.
No, I didn't see
about trauma. And it was pretty much until you stop or you find what's giving you this trauma or whatever, you're gonna bleed over the next person until
That's
you're healed.
facts. That is super facts, man. That is super facts. I didn't heal and elevate until I understood why I was bleeding.
Well,
Once I was able to get that bandage, it was all good from there. It's all up from there. But it's a journey, man. It's not something that you can walk into. You can't walk out of trauma and just be like, oh, I'm healed. Nah, it don't work like that.
And when you speak of trauma, if you was to put a number on it, or if people put a number on it, it's not always 100% trauma.
No, not at all.
Because when you look at certain things like slavery, that's 100. But then when you look at other things of, let's say people say, well, my mama made me go to sleep and I couldn't eat. That's not trauma.
No, that's not trauma. It's definitely not trauma.
That's, that falls in, good, bad, neglect, but not necessarily trauma, because that doesn't mean you're going to do that to your kids, so to speak. So when people, say a lot of things and say trauma doesn't mean something that's 100% and it's going to stop you in your tracks and you got to go on Oprah to talk to her about it and whatnot.
Yeah, nah. I mean, because I was living, as you know, I was living a good life full of trauma. It didn't stop me. So, you know what I'm saying? But, but I mean, it could be an uphill battle, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm a witness to that. I experienced that personally. That's an uphill battle. And until you face yourself, that's the only way you'll be able to remove yourself from it. Honestly.
That's if you choose to do that, because we know some people we were raised with, or people we went to school with, that's still out here trying to do the same things.
Exactly. Another reason why we choose the wrong partners is lack of self-worth. When we don't think that we're good enough and whatnot, and when we lacking that self-worth, when we lacking that, we tend to get manipulated. You know what I'm saying? We don't see the manipulation tactics.
Yeah.
We don't recognize the manipulation tactics. All along, you're being love bombed and not even knowing it. You know what I'm saying?
And you was killing me with that love bomb pod you had that night. Because a lot of people are not aware of that manipulation and love bombing either. Because it has a name to it. Some people, nowadays, the older people just call it dropping the pigeon on it.
Exactly. When I was talking to a friend of mine, I was telling her, I said, dude, you being love bombed. She's like, what's that? I said, everything that he's telling you, he's love bombing. You don't mean that shit.
Right.
He's trying to get something from you. He's trying to get something from you.
But back in the G, they called it game.
Exactly.
Such and such is running game and whatnot. And some people like that attention, and sometimes even in not only a Superman cape, but in a Wonder Woman, whatever.
Right. And honestly, man, I got to be transparent as far as with the love bombing. I recognize it because I used to do it. Straight love bombing.
I get what you're saying, but like I said, it didn't have a name to it.
Nah, there was no name. It was a straight game. It was straight game.
He was, in the words of I think name Marvel Collins, we got to use what we got to get what we want.
To get what we want, exactly.
But I mean, I hung with some dudes that was, that was hard on them, bro.
Yeah, we ain't gonna talk about that, dude. No.
We're not gonna get into any specifics, and we ain't putting no names on it. What I'm saying is, that's why I always say that when we meet a woman and encounter a woman, situationship, relationship, whatever, we're supposed to leave her better than how we found her.
That's true. Absolutely right. You're absolutely right about that. And the next bullet point, man, fear of loneliness and rejection. That's a big one. Fear of loneliness and rejection will have you choosing the wrong partner. If you can't live with yourself, wait until you can. It's not good, man. Just, you know what I'm saying? You go to picking up everything, any and everything. If you can't.
We're not gonna call them flies. Let's say strays.
Exactly. Man. If you can't live
fleas. I'm sorry. I think she said fleas.
She said please.
Yeah, we're not. But if you can't go that hard.
if you can't live with yourself, man. And when I say live with yourself, I'm not talking about physically living
Physical.
alone.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? If you can't live with yourself,
Mhm.
you got to turn that mirror inward and get at it and get to work
Mhm.
on
And
yourself,
your
man.
actions. Right.
Exactly.
Because
Exactly.
I think back when you used to say pretty long ago how you say, well, I take myself to dinner and I'm
Yeah,
comfortable in my company.
exactly. Dining for one. I remember that blog I wrote from
Mhm.
years ago, man. Dining for one, right? I
Right.
used to frequent J. Alexander's over in Michigan a ton. And when I
Okay.
moved to Houston,
Mhm.
I frequent J. Alexander right around the place, right around the spot from my home.
Okay.
So I go in there every single night and have dinner,
Now
sipping
that's
some wine.
strange. That's strange as much as you cook.
Yeah,
See
but
how it changed?
I didn't start cooking until
Mhm.
after that.
Right.
Until after that, I
Mhm.
didn't learn how to cook until I came back south.
Nah, come on.
Yeah, seriously, because I was my brothers used to always give me a hard time with that. They always cooked,
Mhm.
but I was always there just talking trash. They
Wow.
do the cooking. So once I
Okay.
got back with them,
Mhm.
I started learning the pots. I didn't start cooking until I got back south. So
Wow.
so I'm back in J. Alexander's, right? Every night I would see these table full of women. And I'm
Mhm.
there at the bar eating my dinner, drinking my wine, just minding my business.
Mhm.
And every night I walked out, one or two of them would flirt.
Mhm.
And I'm saying to myself, I'm giving y'all a pass because I'm not too far removed from the man I used to be.
Mhm.
So I just walked past it. That's how I knew I was getting stronger, within my ways. I could
Right.
suppress that stuff. And you know what I'm saying? I'm walking away from that. But
Mhm.
can you imagine that young Romello if I just ran straight through him? And you know what I'm saying? So, when you're dealing with situations like that, man, you have to know exactly how to live with yourself, have
Mhm.
dinner by yourself, be your own company, enjoy your own company.
Okay.
It takes time.
So you said you was passing the by like the far side, right? So
I
so
had to, man.
so I'm just saying. So you putting it out there that you was passing the by.
Yeah, I was definitely passing by.
Now,
Definitely, definitely.
how long before it went from passing them by to you was at that table with the with the ladies having dinner?
Honestly, I never went to the table.
I went to the table, okay.
I never went to the table. I never got over to the table.
But you did get invited though, right?
I did.
Okay.
I did. I did. But you have to remember, during that time, I was transitioning from. I was still in separation. We had separated and filed for divorce, and it was still in the courts and all that stuff. So I
Okay.
was still, I was still a mess.
All right. Okay. Now I get where you at. You was
Yeah,
messed up out. You was messed up out here.
exactly, exactly. So what
But
they
you
saw is what they really didn't see. They looking at an attractive man having dinner there every single night. They got some other stuff on their mind.
right.
You see what I'm saying? They got
Mhm.
some other stuff on their mind, and their intentions probably wasn't good.
Perhaps.
Their intent,
Perhaps.
yeah, their intentions probably wasn't good. But
Mhm.
I knew me, and if I'd indulged in it, I'd have just went all in.
Because
But I wasn't mentally prepared for that though.
the lion doesn't hunt unless he's by himself.
Exactly.
So at that table were the lionesses,
I was
and the
being hunted.
lionesses are always on the hunt.
I was being hunted and probably preyed on. Prey, prey,
So
prey.
I'm the type, I like to go a little bit below the surface, so to speak.
Uh,
So I know they were sending some drinks over there
all the time.
at the bar.
I would do the same thing. I'd send something back to them, but I
So
never joined them on
so
the table.
so it wasn't a balanced flirtationship.
Nah, I mean it was evident that they were flirting. It was evident.
So they were flirting. I'm just saying. So they were flirting more, and that was still putting a little bit more wind in your Batman cape, so to speak.
That's how you
That was
circle
getting
it back.
that was getting you back strong. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. I still got it. I still got it. Yeah, I get it.
I'm
I
just
get it.
saying,
I get it. I get it.
you know, we gonna keep it real here, man. We're not gonna shy
Exactly.
away from the small details, and you know, we're not
Exactly.
gonna run away from the big topics.
That's real talk. That's real
Because,
talk.
you know,
That's
and,
real talk.
if I'm not, you know, I'm not gonna be, you know, we gonna see things alike, you know, a lot of the time. But then there's gonna be some things where we always like, hey, I don't
Hey,
agree to disagree type
can't,
stuff.
yeah,
You know,
exactly. Can't go with that. Yeah, exactly.
you
Exactly.
know, sometimes we have some conversations off camera, you know, and I'm like, Trent,
Yeah,
hey man,
exactly.
that ain't,
Actually, that was a couple of weeks ago. He was like, "Hey, man."
that ain't,
Exactly.
that's checkers right there. We play chess.
Exactly. Exactly, man. Exactly.
I can't remember the last time I played checkers, man.
A lot of people don't realize that. Most people probably think that black men don't play checkers. We're phenomenal at checkers. Phenomenal.
Sure.
Not. I'm sorry, chess. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Oh hell yeah. We got a black grandmaster that Nas is getting ready to do a movie about.
Is that right?
A young man too, bro. Yeah.
Okay.
More than likely we invented chess though.
More than sure.
More than
More than
likely.
sure. More than sure. More than sure.
It's
So
just something
what you
that we
got
want.
going, bro? We're coming up on the 8 o'clock hour. What you got going on?
And man, you know I'm working on these video remixes, man. You know I just dropped that Ralph a minute ago, right?
I mean, I'm loving it. I'm loving it. Yeah, I got it. I got it. You said that. I love it. I'm loving it. You know
Yeah,
me.
man.
That's my guy there, man.
People don't realize. I think what I'm gonna have to do, I'm gonna have to do a behind the scenes of all the work it took to do those that less than a minute remix.
Exactly. It
All
takes
the
a
edits.
lot of work and it takes a lot of talent. Let's
Yeah,
be honest first.
but all the edits that I would have to do
Mm-hmm.
in different just things of just showing it different things on beat.
Right.
And people are just some people just look at it. I guess it's like anything else, it's like a great song.
Right.
Because for me, Isley Brothers, favorite group after that is Sade. But that Footsteps in the Dark, man. I sung that song for so many years. And
Uh-huh.
one day I listened to it. My my mind drifts now and then. Wonder what happens down dark corridors that
Uh-huh.
might have been.
Let me tell you something. There's nothing like, and I'm not tooting my own horn here, but there's nothing like a writer. Nothing like a writer, man.
Yeah.
The imagination, especially if his imagination runs wild, there's nothing like a writer.
Mm-hmm.
Lyrics, man, lyrics can get you into some things and get you into some things. If you know what I mean.
Get you deeper into some things.
Exactly. Exactly. There's nothing like a writer, man. Nothing like it. Nothing like it.
But
As
just
always, folks, go ahead. I'm sorry.
the particular path of writing and erasing and scratching out what you thought
Mm-hmm.
was something concrete and then coming with something flipping it 2 or 3 other different ways.
Exactly. Exactly. As always, folks, you can catch us on Apple, Spotify, all that stuff. Taylor Kennedy TV, YouTube. Subscribe. Right
Yes,
here
sir.
for the conversation in prime time. So, two totally different podcasts. Conversation with Trent and Friends is over there with the ladies on Sundays, 7 p.m. Central, 8 Eastern, on the Taylor Kennedy platform with Coach D and Shanna. I call her Shanna Banana / call her Shanna Bright.
Shining bright,
So,
man.
so that's on Sundays. We're always talking about some, throwing
And
some
she
stuff.
know and she know why I call her Shining bright.
Exactly. So we got some spicy gumbo talk
Well,
over there.
well, you know, I'm not supposed to talk about the Princess Di though.
Yeah, nah.
Or we're not supposed to talk about Princess
Yeah,
Di.
because she got the dual citizenship and all this stuff going on right
But you
now.
know,
So
it's all love. You see, I don't have that fake love. I have love for you. I have love for you. So
There
it
it
was
is.
no, it's nothing kind of no bitter or this, that, and the third. We were showing you love, but maybe you perceived it in a different way. Probably was
Exactly.
our tone, maybe. I don't know.
Probably so. Or just the guys who holding the microphone. Maybe it was that. I don't know.
Yeah.
And also, folks, catch us, Coach Catherine Getu, nutritious Coach Catherine Getu, over in France every Thursday at the 7 o'clock hour in the States, at the 14 hour over in Europe, over in France, over in Paris.
That's a good
France.
one also. Parlez-vous français?
Exactly. We always dropping nutritious pointers for you
Mhm.
guys to live well and whatnot, all that stuff, like tropical greens and all that good stuff, laced with coconut water, pineapple, apples, mango, and kale. This is my dinner for
That's what's up.
tonight.
Oh, that's
My
what's
dinner
up,
for
man.
tonight. Oh yeah.
Y'all check y'all out on Thursday mornings, man, when I'm working.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I gotta get up extra
Always good
early before I get
information.
to the gym.
Yeah,
Huh?
always good information on that one, man.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
But the
Catherine do her thing
conversations,
over there,
man,
man.
the conversations are, they're familiar locking. So once you listen to us, you're gonna be stuck. You're coming back.
Absolutely. Man, tell the folks your TikTok handle and all your handles, man, so they know where to find you
Everything's
at.
everything's under a DJ name slash. All the social medias. Got a lot of music and video remixes and whatnot posted. That's what it's all about. The rest of it, I'm not really trying to be sociable like that because social media is not real. Social media
Exactly.
is not
Not real.
real.
Exactly. And I'm glad you brought that up, man. Like, that there is such a thing called you can be antisocial and social at the same time.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'm not that social. A
Mhm.
lot of people tell me, well, you don't like a lot of people around you, but you always podcast and you always, speaking so all stuff. Yeah,
Right.
but I don't have to be social. Like I have
That's it.
my select number of people that I deal with.
Right. Right.
You know?
Artists think from a different hemisphere of the brain. We don't think from the same
Exactly.
part. We used to be
Exactly.
on stage, not in front of the stage or behind the stage. So it's
There
different.
you go.
I don't like crowds of
Totally
people
different.
either. Right.
Yeah, I don't do that at all. I don't
Right.
do that at all. So good stuff, folks. We'll we'll definitely be back for another prime time conversation in prime time with Slash and myself. We'll come
Yes,
up with a
sir.
nice juicy one. Maybe we'll talk about these ladies and the lack of commitment these days.
So
A
we
friend of
gotta
mine called me.
crunch the numbers, man.
What'd you say?
We gotta crunch the numbers, man. We don't want to put
Yeah,
nothing out there that's not truthful. But yeah,
that's true. That's true. That's true. But when I say commitment, you know what I mean when I say commitment, though.
break it down, bro. I'm picking up what you're putting down, so break it
Like
down.
I was talking to a friend of mine, and we were talking about how women are selfish, man. Some
As
women are
are
selfish.
men.
Yeah, that's true.
Hmm.
True. But these days, some women tend to think that, you know, the relationship won't move unless she's happy. What about the man?
Yeah, I, I'm
You know what I'm
hearing that,
saying?
and yeah, that they say some, like I say, some is the micro. Some women will leave a relationship or a marriage based upon her feelings,
Exactly.
based
Exactly.
upon her happiness,
So maybe
and
maybe
not
we
the
should talk
happiness
about that.
of the full. So yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
maybe
There's some truth in that.
exactly. Maybe because the guy I was talking to,
Hmm.
he's with somebody that's super selfish. I'm like, come on, man. Like when your happiness gonna come into play?
You think he saw those red flags all up along the lawn?
He made that initially saw him, but
Hmm.
after all that time, more than sure you see him now.
Right, right. They say you
More
don't
sure you
need a
see him
house to
now.
fall on you to know something wrong.
Exactly. Exactly.
Hmm.
So yeah, let's talk about, man, the selfish ways of some women. Let's not say all, because if we just say women, we'll get a whole bunch of darts thrown, our way. So I should say some women, man.
They know you have condition, man, so y'all can't be throwing those darts at Trent. You could throw them at the show, but you can't throw them at Trent.
Yeah, you can't, because I can't get out of the way of the dart. I'm working out daily, so I'm trying to, get that strength back. So don't throw
that
too
matrix,
hard.
Man. You got to get your matrix back. That's all, man.
That is.
Get your matrix back.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we can tackle that one, man.
Absolutely. So we'll put that one together, folks. We'll put that one together. And we'll see you guys on the other side of Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, or whenever Slash and I are feeling like dropping it. We'll come in and we'll drop it on you guys.
Let's do it.
Sound good. Until next week. Actually, on Sunday, you guys see me on Sunday with Shan and
with friends.
Yeah, we'll be talking about who talks about sex more, men or women. Men or women. And on Thursday, we'll be talking about trauma and how it affects you physically on the Nutrition Edition show with Catherine over in France. That'll be next Thursday.
Next Thursday, yeah.
Yep. So trauma can affect you physically. And we'll break that down for you guys on next Thursday at the 7 o'clock hour in the States, 14 hour in France on next Thursday. So good stuff, man. Until then, we'll talk soon.
Peace. Sankofa.
Conversations with Trent in conjunction with Taylor Kennedy Media and your radio network would like to thank you for calling in and listening to tonight's episode. We hope that tonight's conversation offended you just enough to turn your mirror inward to come back for more. So until next week's conversation, be epic.